appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello again, this is Nifemi Oguntoye with the CoreTV News this hour. Unknown gunmen have attacked Adogo police station in Ajaokuta local government area of Kogi State with dynamite in an attempt to loot the armory. They were, however, repelled by the policemen on duty. The attempt by the hoodlums to cut away arms was aborted as the police successfully evacuated the armory from the station. The attack, which was carried out on Sunday with heavy dynamites, set the building on fire, according to a statement by the police public relations officer Emmanuel Ojukwu on Monday in Abuja. The police says no casualty was recorded by the men on duty, while some of the hoodlums escaped with bullet wounds. The police added that the area has been reinforced, while frantic efforts are ongoing to track down the fleeing gunmen. The police appealed to members of the public to report anyone seen with bullet wound to the nearby police station or other security agencies. A security source has confirmed to CoreTV News in Abuja that the authorities are investigating the alleged killing of Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau in Batu. Reports had filtered out from Borno State at the weekend that one of the corpses recovered during one of the battles for Konduga looked like the Boko Haram leader. But a senior security personnel who doesn't want to be identified has now acknowledged that a top insurgent commander was shot and killed at Konduga on the outskirts of Maiduguri. He added that the features of the terror leader are being compared with the recovered corpse to determine whether he's the same that had been appearing on videos. The Department of State Security had always insisted that the Shekau seen in recent videos is an impostor. It claimed that the real Shekau was mortally wounded in battle at least a year ago. Nigeria's military has denied reports of a cross-border raid by Cameroon military in any part of the country. There had been reports that Cameroon had bombarded part of the country, during which Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau was allegedly killed. But the defense headquarters on Monday used its Twitter handle to dismiss the claims. It insisted that all operations in Konduga and the border parts of the country are by Nigerian troops. The military has meanwhile revealed that 10 Boko Haram members have surrendered to troops in Kawure. This comes the day after 5 insurgents turned themselves in alongside their weapons at Konduga. Defense headquarters say the insurgents are in custody for necessary debriefing. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is convinced that the Jonathan administration has not done enough to ensure a quick end to the war against insurgency. Speaking at the recent interactive media session in Abuja, the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, recalled that the Obasanjo administration smashed a similar group within a few weeks.
I don't believe as a country we have done enough to secure this country. This bunch of insurgents have been operating for nearly 4 or 5 years now. And knowing Nigeria, we used to pride ourselves with one of the best armed forces in this country. I really don't know where things have gone wrong. Is it the armed forces? Is it the political leadership? I just can't believe what is happening. Honestly, I am not in a position to explain this because I'm not in government. I don't know what is, but I don't believe this is a situation that Nigeria would not have dealt a very, very fatal blow within 3 to 6 months. Because I remember when we were in office, such a group that wanted to emerge in Yobe, we smashed that group within a couple of weeks, completely. That such a group should be allowed 4 or 5 years operating in this country and then saying they have even occupied some parts of the country and hosting flag and nobody is doing anything. Please help me ask.
Scores of half-naked women on Monday blocked the convoy of the Kaduna State Governor Ramalan Yero at Fadankasha in southern Kaduna. They also hurled objects at the governor's convoy when he visited the area to commiserate with residents on recent attack on some communities in the area. The women were angry that after at least 7 attacks on their villages in recent times, the governor was now visiting a few weeks to primary elections. Eyewitnesses told CoreTV News that an embarrassed Yero called on the people to be patient and be peace-abiding in a brief remark before returning to Kaduna. Meanwhile, the Christian Association of Nigeria claims that over 300 people were killed in recent times in the area. Khan blamed the killings on terrorists in a letter handed to Governor Yero at the palace of the district head. The Christian body urged the governor to take necessary steps to stop constant attack on the largely Christian community. In spite of pressure to seek reprieve for 12 soldiers sentenced to death for mutiny, Chairman Senate Committee on Defense is not prepared to raise anyone's hopes. Not yet. Judge Segibo told journalists in Abuja that he is not surprised that the soldiers were handed the death penalty, but he says members of the Senate Committee would be meeting the military authorities on the issue this week.
As prudent as the military is, they cannot just point at somebody as having committed an offense without the man committing the offense. I am aware that they went out to investigate whether these soldiers really did commit the offense, and they went to where the offense were committed, carry out investigations, ask questions, and all that. Got even some eyewitnesses to come and talk to them. All that I heard of it, but because I cannot be part of that panel, so I cannot say I'm a eyewitness. But that is what so far I understand about it. I have not invited the Chief of Defense Staff or Chief of Army Staff for briefing yet. I'm inviting for that briefing. But what I hold on to is this. We should look at the law. We should look at the Constitution. We should look at what is spelled out in their standard code of conduct and operations. And we should look at the relevant punishment that attach to defaulters. So if there are standard codes, or if there is inclusive in the law, in the Armed Forces Act, and then somebody violates the law, violates the provision of the Act, the punishment spelled out for that purpose will catch up with the person.
You're watching CoreTV News on the hour. More stories coming up shortly after this break. Stay with us.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes and bleeding from the eyes, ears and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Welcome back. Senate President David Mark has denied making comments credited to him by the All Progressives Congress on the possibility of postponing the 2015 elections. Mark says he never called for the elections to be postponed. The Senate President recalled that on the day senators resumed from their annual recess, he argued that the issue of elections should be addressed during a debate and not election matters. Senator Mark consequently urged APC to desist from misleading the public. The People's Democratic Party is to embark on a nationwide tour to showcase its achievements since 1999. This, according to the party's spokesman, Ulisa Metu, is to disprove critics' claims of non-performance by PDP government at the center. He said at a news conference in Abuja that the party is prepared to prove its performance in governance at all levels.
Has mounted a negative campaign asking what the PDP has done in the last 15 years. Many of them have also queried the rationale behind the unanimous adoption of President Goodluck Jonathan as our sole presidential candidate for the 2015 general elections. The People's Democratic Party will respond in a unique way. In the next couple of months, beginning from Monday, September 22nd, 2014, the Publicity Directorate will embark on a comprehensive nationwide PDP performance tour to visit and publicize all projects executed by all PDP elected and appointed officials at the federal, state, and local government levels.
The Supreme Court has upheld the emergence of Willie Obiano as the duly elected governor in the November 16, 2013 election. A seven-member panel headed by Justice Mahmoud Mohammed wrote that two separate appeals filed by Chris Ngige of the All Progressives Congress and Tony Nwoye of the People's Democratic Party lacked merit. Speaking after the judgment, Governor Obiano's counsel maintained that the outcome was not a surprise.
The court endorsed the decisions of both the Court of Appeal and the tribunal to the effect that Chief Obiano was duly qualified, and further that the appellants who were petitioners at the tribunal failed to establish the various acts of non-compliance and irregularities that they alleged. So we are quite happy. It's consistent with the previous decisions of the Supreme Court, and in that sense, the decision is very much acceptable.
Legal practitioners say rules of court must be reviewed if delay in dispensation of justice is to be tackled in Nigeria. The call was made at a Supreme Court session to mark the beginning of the 2014-2015 legal year. The Nigerian Bar Association maintained that the review of the rules is necessary, especially now that the Nigerian prisons are congested.
For those in the legal profession, Monday marks the beginning of a new legal year in the country. And as usual, a special session was held at the Supreme Court, presided over by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. First, it was time to appraise the previous legal year of 2013-2014 with the aim of setting course for the new year. Out of 1,288 cases, 146 were disposed while other cases were appealed against. According to the leadership of the Chief Justice, this is a setback for the judiciary.
Therefore, attention in the form of an institutionalized, pragmatic response must be carried out in several key sectors of the judiciary. Although the necessary actors needed to salvage the situation is not the judiciary's alone. This conscious effort involves members of the legislative arm as well as the executive. The judiciary, however, remains at the forefront of the struggle. The judiciary can thus provide sustainable solutions by implementing an improved court bail criteria and practice good organization and have law officers in the areas of speedy recording of court proceedings. May I also suggest the appointment of more judges and magistrates on merit, improved legal criteria and practice, alternative to pre-trial detention, as well as introduction of pre-trial victim offender mediation, and most importantly, ensure a speedy dispensation of criminal matters.
The leadership of the Nigeria Bar Association also had its say.
The causes of delays in hearing appeals must be addressed urgently. We appreciate the fact that most of our appellate court justices are hard-working men and women with a strong sense of purpose. But the situation with the Supreme Court is still in 2014 dealing with 2007-2008 appeals. It's a clear indication to us all that something is just not right. We must review our rules of court to make the processes faster. The Supreme Court and all divisions of the Court of Appeal with full complement of justices should run 2 full panels regularly to enable them to clear the backlog of appeals. The law should be certain, and even if 2 panels sit simultaneously and apply the law correctly, the outcome should be the same.
NBA also stressed the need to develop a more accessible case management system and financial autonomy of the judiciary.
All MBA chairmen in all the states of the Federation shall this week seek audience with state governors in their respective states to push strongly for compliance with other provisions of the autonomy of the judiciary. Our next line of action will be dependent on the position of the governors, but let it be known that the MBA will not compromise on this issue.
There is, however, a consensus that restructuring the court system couldn't be coming at a better time, especially now that the 2015 general elections is just few months away.
Meanwhile, Chief Justice of Nigeria Aluma Mukhtar has sworn in 17 new senior advocates of Nigeria. They made the cut after clearance from the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee from a list of 132 applicants. Justice Mukhtar sworn in the new senior advocates at a special Supreme Court session to mark the beginning of the 2014-2015 legal year.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria plays a critical role in the legal profession. He is to assist the courts attain justice, and in doing so must espouse an impeccable standard of diligence, integrity, discipline, and demonstrate the highest standard of advocacy. A keen understanding of how the law affects the daily lives of people and the promotion of the rule of law to facilitate the fair administration of justice in our great nation should be the primary responsibility of a senior advocate.
The Jamaatul Nasrul Islam in Kaduna wants the National Assembly and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to probe the controversial $9.3 million impounded by the South African authorities. The government has said the money was meant to procure arms, but JNI is not convinced. It said in a statement issued in Kaduna by its Secretary General, Khalid Aliyu Abubakar, that the government needs to clear the air on the circumstances surrounding the cash movement. GNI argued that the EFCC needs to do its duties by ensuring that those involved face the wrath of the law. The Islamic body wondered why a presidential jet was not used if it was a legitimate business. The 14th edition of the National Women Conference, organized by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials with the theme Embracing and Managing Change, had its grand opening of 3-day conference at the Eco Hotel and Suites in Lagos on Monday. The event was graced by notable members of the public, among them the Governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, who was the grand patron of COSO. Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun, who was the special guest of honor, came in the company of his wife, and the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Abimbola Fashola, who was the chairperson of the committee. Typical of women gatherings, the talks ranged from kitchen matters, more women participation in politics, among other issues.
You can see the number of people here. It's because of the skills they learn here and the knowledge they acquire that has impacted on the life of many women, and especially women that their husbands are in positions of authority. They have been able to be the backbone to give good advices to their husbands and to also run programs that enhance whatever their husband is doing.
A fantastic one, because information and education is being dispersed and people are taking things on board. So it's a form of capacity building, because sometimes it's information that people need. And with the caliber of the speakers and the lecturers that they have at this conference, I think that it is very, very impactful.
When people understand what change is, and when they start to embrace and manage it, and when they are able to move forward in life, for them to be able to be successful, and for them to be able to do things that are positive to the society. For those who have decided that politics is their passion and their calling, so be it. All they need to do is learn the rudiments of being a politician, be there, stay there, and be determined to succeed in whatever post they are aspiring to become.
Reports just reaching us says lawmakers on the All Progressives Congress worked out of seating of the House of Representatives of the National Assembly over disagreement on the issue of the $9.3 million seized in South Africa. The lawmakers are currently holding a closed-door session to decide the next line of action. We'll keep you up to date as the issues evolve. We'll take a break now and we'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of our own state and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTV News.
Back. Outside Nigeria, military says Ukraine is preparing to withdraw heavy weaponry away from separatist rebel lines in the east. The two sides had agreed to set up a buffer zone in eastern Ukraine more than a fortnight after a shaky ceasefire came into force. Although the truce is still in place, clashes have continued around the cities of Donetsk and Mariupol. More than 3,000 people have died since fighting broke out in the two regions of Donetsk and Lugansk in April. Ukraine's parliament passed a bill last week granting 3-year self-rule to parts of Donetsk and Lugansk regions, a decision condemned by some MPs as capitulation. Under the terms of the 9-point deal agreed in Belarus, both the pro-Russian rebels and Ukrainian forces are to pull back their heavy artillery 15 kilometers from the line of engagement, creating a 30 kilometers buffer zone. It's a wrap on CoreTV News this hour. Join us again at the top of the hour for more. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.